has a name. It's an entire process. It's called Guerrilla Marketing. It's the process of putting stickers on lampposts. It's the process of doing man on the street interviews. And guess what? If you can be personable and you can be creative, it works.
Yo, good WordPress people. Welcome back to the WPMRR WordPress podcast. I'm Joe.
And I'm Christie.
And you're listening to the WordPress Business Podcast. Christie, what is going on this week?
Oh, lots of important WordPress issues and things, big moves, lots of cool websites, more and more market share of the internet, the usual. But perhaps most important, high priority, shocking, extraordinary, revolutionary of all, I got my hair cut.
Woo! Little shorter, and you got it like there's something you I saw you on Twitter. You said something about like how it's cut that I didn't really understand, as people who are watching on YouTube know from my lack of hair and not having any. But did you do something special you hadn't done before or something?
So nothing really super special that I hadn't done before. The crazy thing, I guess the special thing is that it's short. I'm trying to turn around. It's so fun that we're doing YouTube now so that I can actually do this. But here, I'll turn around. You can see it's like very short.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you know what? When I remember when I was creating, we had like those custom images we had for the podcast.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying like, oh, my hair is actually like a little shorter in this image and it's actually longer now. I was just ahead of the game. I was just a few months ahead. I knew you'd get it cut at some point. So
that's actually so true, because you also got the designer to do the curly texture, and then my hair curled back up in the Texas weather. So yeah, you just predicted the future that we should get that designer to pick out some lottery numbers for us. And yeah, I went for a really big chop. My hair was down to my waist. It's been that way for...
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah.
Because you've been in Austin for a few months now, so I haven't seen the hair that long. I didn't know it was all the way down to the waist. That's like hippie status, really super long.
Hippie status, true hippie status. Yeah, I think all of us have been dealing with quarantine hair. Well, those of us who deal with hair.
Not us Powerballs, but
quarantine hair. And so yeah, it was pretty long, and I've always had long hair, and I've done a lot of crazy stuff to it over the years, right, with like chemicals and textures and colors and whatever. And so it was just kind of like looking a little ratty. And Texas is super hot. It's so hot. And I've been swimming a lot and being outside a lot, so my hair's just really taking a beating. And I was just like, you know what? Take it all off. Let's go short. And I'm so happy. I was so excited when they did it. And yeah, it's a big change, It's funny because I started out with that sort of tongue-in-cheek, like, most important thing. But it's really amazing how different our physical appearances, can make us feel. And how something like totally. A big 8-inch haircut, and seeing all the hair gone and feeling all the like lightness and not sweating outside, can really make a big difference. So those are my big news for this week. What about you? How are you doing?
Woo! No new haircut for me. Same old style. But yeah, things are pretty good over here. Sterling and I and Mo were down in Texas for a little while as well. We went back down. We got back like 10 days ago. So yeah, we like kind of self-quarantined for a few days, got tests. Testing in DC is actually like super fast turnaround. It turned around in like 2 days. So
that's
we got
awesome.
results 2 days. We both got results 2 days later. And yeah, came back negative. So that is always good news. So yeah, I'm always able to go back to daycare, in this small little home daycare. And yeah, a lot of time spent. Alec is our new head of growth at WP Buff. So I've spent like a bunch of time on video with him, sharing stuff. It's been super refreshing, actually. He's like super on the ball, super like gets it. And I feel like I only have to explain everything once. And yeah, he just kind of takes things and runs with them. And that's maybe my like number one, like good quality in someone is like, can you like get shit done?
Yeah.
Yes, turns out he can. So that is good as well. So yeah, just kind of thinking about, I guess, like what the rest of this year looks like. It's been like totally crazy upside down year so far, and it's like, what is it now? It means August is almost over. It's almost September, which means it's almost fall, which means it's like pretty much almost Halloween, which means it's pretty much almost like holidays. And so like what
It's basically
this year
Christmas.
it's
It's
got my so slow
2021.
and so fast. Yeah. So but that's what's up with me. I'm just kind of hanging, getting a little work done, trying to survive the year. Also, just good quick shout out to Post Status podcast. They recently had a podcast came out where they actually did a super good job of going through some of the like how to not stress out during quarantine episode. I don't know if that was the focus of the episode, but they went through like a bunch of stuff, Corey and Brian. So I would definitely tune into that one if people are like, man, my life is crazy.
What was
Go listen.
the 30-second summary? The top tips.
So they talked about some stuff that I hadn't really thought of, but that like are totally applicable. Like one of the things was like make sure like your areas are clean. Like try to keep your home clean. And I was like, oh, it's so obvious, but like that's totally true because if like if your area is messy, it like messes with your like mentality. It's like it's just another thing that's in your brain, like taking up bandwidth. It's like, I have to clean later? I got to do the X, Y, Z, and it's just like it's in there. But like if you try and keep things clean, like it kind of releases your brain from having to think about that thing. And I think I don't know about you, but like I get stressed out when I have like 100 things on my brain. Like that's when I can't sleep. It's like when I have 100 things I'm thinking about. It's like like got so much to do. And if even just 10 minutes spent just cleaning your home or your living space, your living area, especially when you have kids. Well, it's not that messy here right now, but I just cleaned this morning. So, but that to me was just like a little thing that was cool. And they talked about some other things too, like, trying to like make excuses to get out of the house. Like instead of ordering something on Amazon, like go take half an hour to put your mask on and go get it. You obviously want to be safe while doing all these things, but like you just literally sit in your house and order everything delivered. Like that's just another excuse to stay inside. Like try and give yourself excuses to go out on walks or to like go to your local store during non-busy hours. I don't know. There was some other stuff too. I can't remember right now, but the cleaning one was the one that stuck with me that I was like, yeah, I should clean more often.
Yeah, that cleaning note, that's super interesting to me because I'm insanely sensitive to that.
Oh.
Just messes and not necessarily like dirt, but like clutter really, really, really affects me. It just feels like
Mm.
completely overwhelming. So, like I don't think I've ever driven you anywhere, Joe. But if you ever rode in my car, I am one of those clean car people. There's like
Oh man.
not a
Are
single
people
thing.
allowed to eat in your car? Or are you one of those people that's
No,
like
yeah. So
eat
that's
it
what I'm
and then
saying.
get in?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not a cleanliness thing; it's a clutter thing, right? Like, you can eat
I
wherever, like whatever, right? Like, oh, like my bathing suit is wet. Should I still get in your car? Yeah, like, this car is here to be used,
yeah.
right? But I will go insane if there's like little items on the dash and like like
Okay.
stuff in the console, and I'm like, no, right? Like everything has to have a purpose, and I think that's everything to do with brain load, right? Like I think that
Totally.
I put in so much effort into making sure that all the things that I have to keep track of are as automated as possible. I don't want to do anything twice, right? Like, and and so that's super interesting because it does become so much more important um, when we are looking at quarantine living, where we just cannot get out of that space.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I asked about the eating thing because my dad like would never allow anybody to eat in his car. So he was a super like I don't know if OCD is the right word, but he was definitely like, yeah, he wanted a clean car and like, yeah, don't spill stuff in the car. Like definitely no. So okay. Well, I'm glad you're doing well. Hope Austin is good. I'm glad your hair is fabulous. All right. let's jump into today's episode, which is like a growth related episode. And yeah, how should we intro this? We talked before we did the episode and kind of had put some plans together, and we were like, we want to talk about like different growth levers at certain part or certain like milestones of your business. But milestones are so different for everyone. We kind of talked about like you want to try X, Y, or Z at like 0 to 10 customers and 10 to 100 customers and 100 to 1,000 customers. But everyone is at a different price point. Everyone, one customer could be $1,000 for one person and $10 for someone else. So it's really kind of arbitrary. It's the same with MRR. We're going to do it based on MRR, but it's the same. Like someone could have one customer and $10,000 MRR. I know some businesses like that. Some people could have 100 customers and have a 10,000 MRR. So it's so dependent on like your kind of business you're running. So we decided to kind of go like beginner and then like intermediate, which is kind of like you have like traction, you have things going, like what should growth look like and customer acquisition look like at that stage, and then what does customer acquisition look like once you're kind of more established and you I guess that's the like advanced area. Like what does customer acquisition look like when you're a more mature company, I guess I'd say. So yeah, Christie, does that sound like an accurate description of what we're going to chat about today?
I would add to what you just said about the stages, right? That we're strictly focusing on that starting stage. I think a lot of people know that it's a lot harder to just get off the ground. And once there's momentum, it's still hard, but it's a different kind of hard. And when
Yeah.
we started talking about the topic for this episode, we were going to talk about that second stage. And I said, yeah, but have we talked about the first stage? And I wanted to cover that because we're really talking that beginner and then beginner intermediate space. When we talk about companies that have one customer that's giving them $10,000 and that's the bulk of the company, that's something that we call a highly risky company, right? Because that one
Right.
customer changes their mind, and what happens then, right? Like you have to find another $10,000 customer. So even though MRR in dollars is a really important measure, I wanted to focus on just that number of people, of businesses, of customers that the money is distributed among and what it looks like to satisfy 10 people versus 100 people versus 1,000 people, right? Like, I'm very curious about that stage and how those growing steps are often very important to get right.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Keep that in mind as we go through all these because I want to keep touching on that because I think it's important to always bring back into the conversation because it's really going to affect a lot of things in terms of customer acquisition because it's like how many customers are you trying to acquire? Are you trying to acquire 100 or are you trying to acquire 2? It will make a big difference in terms of what that looks like, especially at scale, but also at the beginning when it's not scaled. So cool. I think so. We have on our list the first thing to talk about before we have 3 sections here. First is we're going to talk about how like growth isn't the only important thing. We just want to make sure that that's clear. Not growth for growth's sake, I guess I should say. The second is we've made a list of a bunch of customer acquisition options people can use, and I think that's like a pretty good list, pretty exhaustive. We probably missed 1 or 2, but mostly I think they're there. And then the third part we're going to talk about today is those different steps, like beginner, intermediate, advanced, like what kind of customer acquisition and marketing should you be doing to acquire new customers at those different stages. So like when you're starting off, like you're talking about, Christie, we're talking a lot about, when you're starting off, what do you do to acquire, your first 10 customers? We'll definitely dive on that and jam on that today. So, okay. First, growth for growth's sake is like a silly thing. You should have some goal of like why you want to grow. Like, okay, I'll use myself as an example. Like, I like growth. Like, I think it's really exciting to me. And I enjoy watching that number go up. 2, growth kind of causes my company to change over time with the size, and that's exciting for me because like it means like every year is a little bit different for the company. And if I was just the same all the time, like I don't know, I'd probably be bored. And so that's good too. And the third big reason is like I actually like really like team building. Like I like building a team. I like putting like the best people I can together to solve hard problems and like do bigger things than I could do myself, because I'm not super talented at most things. So it's pretty easy to get other people to do things better than me. But that's the goal, is to like support people's lives and create a good company people want to work at, but also like do bigger things. So yeah, I mean those are reasons I really like growth. But you shouldn't just grow because you're like, I want to grow, like I want to be a billionaire, or like, I don't know, people will tell you who make that much money. It's like, yes, sometimes it can be nice, but it's not the be all end all for sure. So you mentioned here, Christie, this 1,000 true fans thing, which I think is important to touch on. So maybe you want to touch on that quickly.
1,000 True Fans is interesting to me because let's broadly apply it here, right? In the context that it was originally presented, it was about creators. So people who make stuff online, music, art, courses, articles, podcasts, that getting 1,000 people that are really excited about what you're doing is a perfectly amazing and sustainable milestone, right? And to me, that's super interesting because it's a goal, right? Like once you're sitting there, if you're just one person, that's a pretty good spot to be. 1,000 people really listening and hanging on to the things that you're putting out into the world. That's awesome. And it was presented in this way that says that the internet is going to allow for that, right? That we're going to slowly in our lifetimes get away from the mega celebrities, the massive bands, and that instead we're going to have something that's kind of just right for everybody. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting concept, and I think it can be applied to a lot of different contexts. And we wanted to touch on this because it can be so easy to get lost in just, oh yeah, keep growing, right? Like our entire world, our economy is based and moderated on growth. And so if people like podcasts, you know that in a different alternate universe, I'm a hippie economist. And anybody who's listening to the show long enough knows about that part of my story, I think. And so I really enjoy listening to economics podcasts. And the Freakonomics podcast just recently featured a sort of newer movement, which is the degrowth movement in economics. And it's this idea.
Degrowth movement. I hadn't heard of that.
And it's this idea that a handful of, hippie economists are pushing out there that's getting a lot of attention now because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And it has everything to do with this idea that growth as our primary key indicator of success is maybe not the best thing. Right? That we keep thinking that GDPs have to grow, that we keep thinking that the stock market has to grow, and that maybe that is incompatible with sustainability, and that instead we can scorecard ourselves in different ways that have to do with quality of life, that have to do with all sorts of other types of measures. And that starts from the ground up, right? And I think that especially right now, because of the current situation, we have started to consider questions like, like, how do we shut down an economy and keep everybody okay? And it's making us reconsider the paradigms of what we think humans are supposed to be doing from, years 18 to year 88.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you for bringing that up. I think that's super important and super valid point. I really hate the idea that like, okay, I want to like invest in the stock market. Like, what are the best stocks? Like, what's going to make me the most money? Oh, like Facebook? Like, fuck Facebook. Like, why do I have to invest in Facebook to like make money? Also, like your 401k, like what are you invested in your 401k? I bet most people don't know like who invests in 401k, like what that's actually invested in. Mostly
Oil.
Big tech companies. Do you like big tech companies? Like, do you want to support them all? Maybe some you do, but like, I agree with you, Christie. I just want to say, I think I hate that, like, to like put my money on the S&P 500. It's like I have to put my money in a lot of these companies that kind of suck because they're big monsters that are ruining the world. Anyway, Yes,
Well,
valid point, Christie.
because under the current structure of how corporate governance works, they are incentivized in
Current
every single
capitalist
way.
structures,
Right.
yeah.
They are incentivized in every single way, both financial and also legal through fiduciary duty, to optimize for the shareholder value as opposed to literally anything else, right? We could do a
Mm,
whole other episode on my hippie economist views and why that's messed up. But I think that a lot of our audience and a lot of the people who listen to this and are interested in this space are interested in it because they're trying to figure out how to live within this world in a different way that's more sustainable and that is
mm,
more true to the values that are really high up on that importance scale for a lot of us that become drawn to this world. And so
yeah,
let's identify that while talking about growth is super interesting, we're all not, most of us are not here for insane explosive growth, right?
totally. Yeah, I think it goes a little bit back to what I was saying about growth for growth's sake is and can be really harmful. I think the reasons I talked about, the reasons I like growth for like my own company, I think they're probably more responsible than just saying like I want growth because I want to like have hit X revenue or for like fiduciary responsibilities for shareholders, which I have none, which is nice. But there are more things you can do as a bigger company as well. Like if bigger companies also had ethics involved in their decision making instead of just fiduciary responsibilities, that seems like the world being a better place. So like maybe becoming a B Corp instead of like an S Corp or an LLC or something, which is like a company that has ethics at the forefront of what it does. Like we can do more, we can give more money away. Like Ali gives, a portion of our profits away every month and every quarter to like good places that do good work. So like we can do more of that as well with growth. So it's not growth isn't always bad, but there's definitely in our current structure, like growth can definitely be harmful. One other resource I just wanted to point out was Company of One by Paul Jarvis. It's a book that was pretty popular about a year ago, but definitely still pretty popular. And it's pretty much talks about all this probably more eloquently than I am. You speak about it very eloquently, not me so much, but that's a good book that really talks about how you can grow a successful company and have 1,000 true fans without necessarily, you know, focusing just on growth. So Paul Jarvis, Company of One, you can find it on Amazon or, well, maybe not Amazon. Don't buy it on Amazon. Go to Paul Jarvis's website and buy it from him directly because Amazon, who needs that?
I think you're very eloquent, and I'm very glad we could share this hippie moment before we start talking about aggressive growth, how to grow your company. Let's go, how to get
Let's
customers.
do it. Also important for small companies to know how to do growth, right? But we want to do it responsibly. I think that's just what we're saying here. So we have a good list we went through of this is part 2 of customer acquisition, like ways to acquire customers. I'd say, or opportunities where you could acquire customers. And so we're just going to run through them right now. So Christy, why don't you start, and then I don't know, keep saying them.
All right, especially from 0 to 10. I always tell people this. You know who your first customers are going to be? People who know you, your mom, your best friend, people at your
the
gym, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I once heard this quote about this particular method of customer acquisition. That was really interesting to me because I think a lot of people hear that and they're like, I don't want to be like that
Yeah,
salesperson. That's so gross. Oh my God, you know? And no one's asking you to be a sleazy salesperson because here's the thing. If you sincerely believe that your product is going to add value to someone's life, why would you not suggest it to them?
yeah. I agree. Sterling and I have a friend who like sells to like all his friends, and he like sells kind of a sleazy product, and
Ugh.
everyone's kind of like, you probably shouldn't pick up his calls because he's going to try to sell you some sleazy thing. But honestly, if you are selling something good and like you started your own business, like your friends are going to want to support you. Like your real friends, I guess I'd say, are going to want to support you. And you can be honest, like, I'm starting off. I don't really have many customers yet. Can you be one of my first customers? Like, people like that. Like, I'm always honored when people do that. Like Corey, who used to run iThemes and now is at Post Status, like he was selling soap. I don't know if you ever saw that, but he was like selling this soap that him and his family made, and he was just
What?
put it out on Twitter. And I
Know
like
that.
bought
That's so cool.
I bought some of it because I was like, oh, he's a friend of mine, like, and he sold out, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. So all you had to do was tweet it out, and I bought some stuff. So yeah. Ask friends, I think, is important. Okay, let's keep running through the list. Next is referrals. Current customers giving you new customers by talking about you. This can take time sometimes because you want to obviously have a good product and probably a strategy to have people like suggest to people that they can refer you out. But this is definitely another customer acquisition strategy. So that comes from doing a good job. What's next?
Organic. So there's two types here. We have social and SEO, which I might want to call in the moment an evergreen. So creating interesting stuff and putting it on the internet so that other people talk about it, and a small percentage of that group of people goes through and gives you credit card information. Magic. Amazing. Social's cool because it can be a really fast and great way to get people's attention in the moment. It can be a great way to get attention where people already are. And SEO can be really cool because not only do you get people's attention when they're doing things like searching Google for information and help, but also once you publish it, it is there for a long, long time and hopefully is doing the evergreen work of continuing to bring you in trickles of people. And then if you set up many, 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 many trickles, eventually that is a stream and eventually that is a river.
Yep. That's definitely what powered WP Buffs from day one and still does to this day. So I'm big on SEO. When Christie says evergreen content, an example of evergreen content would be how to get a free SSL certificate on your website. An example of a non-evergreen content would be like WordPress 5.5. What's new in WordPress 5.5? Because in a year, people are still going to be searching for SSL stuff, but not probably for WordPress 5.5, unless there's a real slowdown in the release schedule.
50% of our CalderaForms.com traffic came from organic SEO.
Yep. If I were to look at our analytics today, it would actually be like 90%.
Damn!
So
Wow.
Very high.
Yeah,
yes. Okay. Okay. Next, in-person events. So that could be in person, not as much right now, but virtual events. There are a lot of people that I guess either like you could sponsor an event, so that's a form of like customer acquisition, or you could just be at the event and like, when it's opportunity to talk about your stuff, you can talk about it, or maybe you speak at a conference. That's another way. Maybe you're volunteering. I'm just, I guess, saying like events are a thing you can lean on for potential customer acquisition. So
back when
that's
we
definitely
had events.
something to think about. Yeah, sad. I miss everybody. What's next on the list?
Paid traffic.
Oh, I skipped over. Yes, thank you.
Paid
Go back.
traffic.
Talk about that one.
Super important. We have, again, similar to SEO and social, except you're paying per click. Now, this is different because instead of putting out content to the world and bringing in that targeted that small percentage of conversions as opposed to views and impressions, you're playing a game of figuring out the right audiences and specifically tailoring stuff and paying for it to show up to those people. So conversion rates are expected to be much higher. Expenditures are obviously higher. And that is a more targeted and faster way of getting people coming in when you really need that first round of people to start the machine. Paid traffic, so that's Google ads, social advertisement on social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, paying for placement on websites, sponsoring placements on other people's content, whether it's podcasts, newsletters, things like that. And then, of course, doing the work of making sure that we are tracking the impressions that we get and retargeting them and continuing to serve ads to those accounts to push people down that sales funnel. Paid traffic, super important, especially at the beginning.
Yep. Some other of those examples of the paid traffic are Google ads specifically. So the things that show up above the organic results in Google SERPs or search engine results pages. You have retargeting, which are those ads that show up on different news sites. And it's like, come check out this website that you just visited because you got cookied. So you can retarget people. And then, yeah, social does have paid advertisements as well. So you can do Facebook ads or Twitter ads or Instagram ads or Snapchat ads or TikTok. I don't know. I don't know TikTok very well. TikTok ads, sure. Okay, next, affiliate program. That's like a way to like get people a cut of sending you customers, right? Most people know what affiliate marketing is, but it's like someone signs up for your affiliate program, they get a special link to send folks to you. If someone sends a new customer to WP Buffs, if they pay, buy a Perform plan from us, it's $197 a month. So as long as that person is still working with us, the person who referred that person gets 10% of that person's payment every month that person's with us. So like $20 a month. And that can add up if you refer multiple people over. Or bigger customers over, especially, right? So, the affiliate program most people should probably have some form of affiliate program. Even if you're not focusing on it too much, you can just have it up and running so people can have the option to like, oh, I have an audience of WordPress people. Yeah, I can. A lot of them need WordPress help. Sure, I can refer some people over to you. So, affiliate program. Or
It's
referral program.
so important. Sorry, there's a shameless plug in here, but it's so important that if you are using managed WooCommerce on Nexus by Liquid Web, we include affiliate WP with every single plan, the paid
Cool.
version. Because it's just one of the best ways to grow a new store, right? Like, think about it has worked for small businesses to large businesses. Every time you see some sort of company doing like we'll give you and your friend $10 off if they use your referral link, like that stuff works. People love free stuff, even in a world where we are so immune to most advertising. That kind of thing works really, really well. Next item, syndicating to existing marketplaces. I put this one on the list because it's a super important strategy, especially when you're starting out. You're going to build a site, and it's really hard to get people to come to a website, but it's not as hard to get people to come to a product listing on a marketplace where they already are. So we tend to think of syndication as being like making sure that your WooCommerce products are also listed on eBay and Amazon, but so many different examples of syndication to marketplaces exist. For example, even having something like, hey, you made a WordPress plugin and it's available on your website and also on the WordPress.org repository is an example of syndicating to an existing marketplace. The point is that you want to make sure that the thing that you're making is not only accessible to be distributed through the channel that you manage, but also other channels, and those expenditures, especially at the beginning, are often worth the cost.
Yep. Cool. That was one where Christie said syndication. I was like, what's syndication? So I said, Christie, you have to explain it on the podcast because I don't really know exactly what it means. But yeah, that's super valuable. Next one's kind of like in the same like vein, which is like community promotion, which I don't know, did we just like coin this phrase? I never heard it before, but we couldn't really, it's not really paid, but it's not really like being in an event either. We thought of it like promoting on Product Hunt, or like even putting something out on like Craigslist or something. Like it's like community, it's like putting like your services out there into like an existing community and seeing what people think about it. There's like indie hackers community as well, right? You can like post your milestones and your profile there, and like everyone there is doing like startup stuff, so people may come and check out your stuff there in terms of community. So it's community oriented, but it's like kind of community promotion, but it doesn't really like feel like pure salesy promotion, because like you're posting a Product Hunt, which the whole point of it is to like hunt different products and like promote your stuff there. It's kind of like part of what Product Hunt is. So like that's a option as well. So, and I've seen a few WordPress companies do pretty successful stuff on Product Hunt. I've definitely talked to a few guests here who have been like, yeah, we launched on Product Hunt and it was great. Like I think Weglot, a multi-language plugin, did a Product Hunt thing that it wasn't, didn't give them years of traffic or whatever, but it gave them a nice bump. And yeah, it was definitely like a thing they were glad they did. So cool. Next.
Influencer marketing is on the list. I think that when we talk about that 1,000 true fans thing, finding those people that have the 1,000 true fans and seeing if they would find that your product would be something that would make their 1,000 true fans' lives better. Very interesting strategy for acquisition.
Yeah, I think a lot of people actually do influencer marketing without really like thinking about it that way. Like a lot of people on their website have like, this person said this product was good. Like, oh, I kind of want someone who's known in the WordPress space to be on there. That's kind of like a form of influencer marketing, kind of, because
Social proof,
it's
yeah.
not like asking them to post something on Instagram. Yeah, it's like kind of the social proof thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, influence marketing is a good one. I forgot to add this as a separate item, but podcasting is a customer acquisition strategy. Probably
Curtain
not at the top of
lifts.
my list, but but it's definitely over the long term. You know, you're just another way to talk to people and converse, or I guess talk to people, converse with your audience, and put yourself in front of people. And yeah, we've had a few people find us, say they found us through the podcast, but like over a year and a half, a few people. It's not definitely not our main channel of customer acquisition, but it's definitely, we could do a better job of it. You know, we don't, I mean, people who listen know we don't do any sponsorships or like, we don't promote it. Like it's not like we live and die by like how many people listen to this podcast. It's more for us and to have fun with it. So, it could be probably a better customer acquisition strategy if people focus on it a lot, people make great content, and if people like really are super targeted about how they're doing the podcast and making sure it's really like translates really well to like what they're selling. So what's next?
We put press releases on the list. I mean, that's just a thing. When you do something exciting, you put out an announcement to it to whatever channels exist. And sometimes other outlets that focus on bringing valuable news, such as newsletters, the news websites, whatever, can pick it up. And it's important to make sure that you have all the journalistic facts for people to write about it. So often overlooked.
I think it'd be interesting actually to do an episode about press releases, because I don't know almost anything about them, but I do know that I read a WP Tavern article. This is probably like a few months ago, where I forget who it was that wrote it, but they were writing about like people were complaining because all these big companies were getting featured in WP Tavern and no small companies were, or like definitely not as many small companies, like companies like Liquid Web and like GoDaddy and like bigger companies were like being featured in Tavern. And then the person, I think it was Justin, was writing about like, well, these companies actually put press releases out. Like everyone should try to do more press releases because that gives us like an official, like this thing happened. So we don't actually do press releases at WP Buffs. But after that, like it's on my list of things like we should probably, like when we do new stuff, like pay a few $100 to do a press release so that people who are in press actually like are able to like say this is a real thing. I don't know. It's kind of bullshit, but also it's like a thing. It's like sometimes you got to pay to play. So anyway,
we can definitely do a whole episode on that. I think that especially for WordPress companies and for people who aren't familiar with this space, not that I'm an expert, but you know, I had the foundation just from like a general education, right? Press releases out there on press release outlets are an option, but for many companies like this, you just have to understand how to write the press release format. The press release is all about having the key information that a journalist would need to write about your topic. And then you just publish it on your blog. And then the other bit that you have to have is a media kit, right? So you publish it on your blog, it has to have all the right information, and then you have to have the media kit available for any additional inquiries or any additional sort of like how to quote you, how do you want to be talked about, whatever. Just because journalists don't want to do all of the lifting of having to figure out all the stuff if you're not putting it out there, we're going to do an episode on that. Yeah.
Cool. Let's definitely do that. It's on the list. I'm literally writing it down right now so we can have it. Okay. Press releases. Nice. Okay. Last one. Oh, I had this customer acquisition thing that I did once that didn't work at all. I mean, it kind of worked in a sense, but it's not. Is it any of these? It's not really any of these. I didn't make this up. I definitely heard about it from someone who's listening will probably like remember what it's from. I don't remember who did it at first, but I remember when WP Buffs was super young, like a super young company, I would go out to Apple stores and I would change the homepage of all the computers to WPBuffs.com. And like the automatic page that came up, right? And I would make sure that I checked traffic to see like because you can Google Analytics, you can see like where traffic's coming from. So I would see like, oh, it came from like Bethesda. Like I went to the Apple Store in Bethesda. So like, oh, I got 30 traffic from there. I wonder what they did. What pages did they go to? And it like totally didn't work because it was obviously not targeted very well. But I was still learning this stuff. So I was just, anyway, I learned that definitely from someone else again. But I did try it, and I went out to like 5 Apple stores around the DC area and did that. And yeah, that's a customer acquisition strategy people could try, but unless you're like selling like a high-end Apple thing, it probably it's not going to do anything for you.
So
But I just thought that was a funny story. I want to tell that I tried, even though it didn't work. But hey, sometimes you got to try stuff that doesn't really work.
let me, push up my glasses up my face. So that is what we
Oh,
would call guerrilla marketing. So
Gorilla, cool.
once we have all of these sort of traditional channels of customer acquisition, I think that it goes without saying that obviously outside of the existing structures of how you get new customers, there are
Yeah,
many different and creative things that you can do. You can throw parties, you can make memes, you can go to the Apple store and change the homepage of every single device to your business about Apple products. You can um, go to WordCamps and wear an insane T-shirt. You can do all sorts of things that are outside of the scope of these sort of very established, here's how to do them right, here's how to find people where they are type stuff, and just see if it works. Sometimes standing out, being creative, being unique can be the way to get, especially from that 0 to 10, and that has a name. It's an
that's
entire
true.
process. It's called guerrilla marketing. It's the process of putting stickers on lampposts. It's the process of
Mm,
doing man on the street interviews. And guess what, if you can be personable and you can be creative, it works.
yeah, that's cool. I didn't like know that was a specific thing, and now I do. So that's yeah, totally exactly what I was doing. I knew that the whole time. I remember being at MicroConf. I think it was like 3 years ago now. It may have been the year we went together, Christie. But like Design Pickle, which is like a design agency, they would walk around with this huge jar of pickles.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an event thing, but it was totally like a catch, like, oh, like, haha, that's kind of a funny thing. And I never like was their customer because of it, but I definitely still remember it. Like it's like in my head now. Oh, they were walking around with this literally like a huge jar of pickles. Like it was pretty hilarious. So yeah, I mean, I totally think that you know in different contexts it may not have worked to make me a customer, but like, hey, I'm like they found a way in my brain. So there's something there, and like in a positive way, not in a negative way. So there's something there, definitely. So cool. That's all. That's our list. That's it. We went through them all. We may have missed one or two, who knows? But that's a pretty comprehensive list. I think if anybody's like, I need a new customer acquisition channel, like you should probably be able to find one out of all those. So hit the rewind button if you want to listen again.
When I was working on Caldera Forms, I actually had this list in my notebook, sort of in the back. I referenced it all the time. And I would call it sort of my digital marketing toolbox. And periodically, I would look at the list and I would just ask myself, okay, what am I doing
Mm,
across all of these dimensions? How much am I spending? What efforts are we doing? Could we be doing something differently? This was maybe around the time, this was how we got from 70,000 to 100,000 active installs. That's around the time
mm,
period in which I was referencing this list in my notebook and just making sure that I had trickles going across all of these dimensions. It was especially important for me because, again, I'm sort of very interested in the idea of creative and curious marketing strategies. And the thing about creative and curious marketing strategies is that they are the cherry on top of you having your foundations right. So I would constantly make sure that I had my foundations
yeah.
right, so that we could, continually break those growth plateaus.
Oof. That makes me really tempted to want to just go and do a super long episode because what you said just totally was like, oh yeah. But this is going to be our first ever part one and part two of episodes. We're going to
Ooh.
do a few. Well, keep this one to our usual like 45 to 50 minutes, and then I think we want to talk about where all these fit in at different sections of growth, and I think that is totally a part of this conversation. But we could do a whole nother 45, 50 an hour on just that. So we're going to wrap up here for today. And just today will be are growth strategies. Now you have a lot of growth strategies or customer acquisition strategies. And next time we'll talk about where those fit in at certain like levels or milestones or like maturity levels of a business, and also like what scales and like how you can think about these in like having them in your arsenal of a toolkit to like actually like make growth sustainable and not make it so that if you're putting like 10 hours into getting one customer, you're not putting 50 hours to get 5 customers or 100 hours to get 10 customers, right? It actually will scale. So you spend 10 hours eventually getting 100 customers instead of, 100 hours. So we'll talk about all that next episode. And I think that'll be a very good one as well. So cool. Let's wrap up for today. Yes, this is part 1. Wahaha. Oh, my notes are open in another window. I was like, where are my notes? I have to like wrap up the show. I've only done 110 episodes. I still can't remember how to wrap the show up. If people want to leave us a little review, that would be pretty sweet. I would really like that. Where can people go to leave us a review?
We've got WPMRR.com/iTunes. Go, leave us a review. Tell us if this was useful. Tell us if you're going to write down all the things we outline and then periodically check them in your notebook. If you're a new listener, you're coming into WPMRR with fresh new ears. Flip the switch, do oldest to newest, and hit play. I promise you that while we weren't as engaging as we are now at the beginning, we were still pretty engaging. And
yeah, I never know what to say to people like to go back and listen to like super old episodes, because it's like listen like with the grain of salt or whatever, because like we also like didn't know as much as we do today. And I'm sure if we do episodes in a year and a half from now, we'll say like, oh, everything like things we're thinking about now probably change as well. So go back, listen to old episodes, but it's not just about like doing what we say to do. We actually say that a lot, like literally listen to some of what we do, but don't like take it and copy and paste it. You should never do that. Like take it, digest it, think about how it works for your business, and then whether what we're saying is a good example or a non-example, that will be helpful for people. So yeah, people should definitely take what we have to say and twist it to make sure it fits for them. So you can definitely do that with old episodes.
if you have any questions about this or any other topic that you'd like to have us talk about on air, you can email them to that's Y-O, at WPMRR.com. I love questions. I really, really dig questions. And check out WPMRR.com. Check out the virtual summit and all the stuff going on. Check out WP Buffs. Check out Managed Through Commerce at Nexus.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
We will be in your podcast players again next Tuesday. See you, everybody.